Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 18, it says, "A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but the slow to anger calms a dispute." And here perhaps the proverb is a warning to say that, you may not want to hang around with people who are very quick-tempered and hot-tempered because they're going to stir up strife wherever they go. And it might be best, if possible, to avoid people who get angry very easily. And also to encourage us to maybe try to be around people who are more slow to anger, who don't get angry quite as quickly. And that would work out better because they tend to actually dissolve volatile situations and things like that. And there might be some element to that in this proverb. But there also seems to be an encouragement for us not to be quick-tempered, not to be people who are easily angered, because if we are those types of people, we're just going to be stirring up strife wherever we go. And everywhere we go, there's going to be contention and chaos and difficulty in relationships. And so the encouragement here is not to be hot-tempered, but to be slow to anger so that we can be a person who calms disputes and not causes disputes. And this isn't a unique teaching to this one proverb. This is taught several times in scriptures. In Psalm 37 and verse 8, it says, "Cease from anger and forsake wrath." Proverbs 14 and verse 17, "He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly." Proverbs 16:32, "He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty." Proverbs 19 and 11, it says, "The discretion of a man deferreth his anger." In Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 9, "Be not hasty in your spirit to be angry." And so there are lots of scriptures about not being angry, not being a person who is quick-tempered. And I think probably Ephesians gives us a reason why the scriptures would encourage us not to be so angry, not just because it stirs up strife, that would be reason enough, but there even seems to be a sense in which having a temper makes you susceptible to Satan. In Ephesians chapter 5, in verse 26, it says, "Be angry and yet do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and do not give the devil an opportunity." So the idea there is that the longer you're angry, the longer you are giving the devil an opportunity to tempt you, to lead you astray, to make you say things you'll regret later, to do things that you'll regret later. And so the encouragement would be, hey, if you're going to be angry, don't be angry very long. Don't let the sun go down your anger. Cut it short. If we add what we learned in the proverb, also don't get angry many times. The more and more we're angry, the more and more we're susceptible to temptation. I think that those who have dealt with anger before, they know how difficult it can be to overcome temptation when they're in an angry state. And so our encouragement today would be, don't be quick-tempered. Don't get angry all the time. Don't be a person who flies off the handle too easily. And things will go a lot better. You'll have less temptations. You'll stir up less strife in your life. And you'll live a more peaceable life with other people. And then the question might come, well, how do I overcome anger? What are some things that I can do practically so that I won't get angry as often? And we can look at this in two ways. There's physical things that we can do, and then there's mental things that we can do. Physically, we could get more sleep. Oftentimes we get angry easily because we're cranky, because we didn't sleep well, because we stayed up too late, maybe watching TV instead of going to bed and getting good rest. That would be one of the first things we would want to do physically if we wanted to not be so easily angered. When we're tired, all of our emotions seem to be more on the surface, and getting a good night's sleep will help us not to get as angry as often. Exercise will allow us to feel better physically. It gets all those chemicals moving, all those good chemicals that put us in a good mood. So exercising, being fit, will help us not to get as grumpy and as angry. Eating right, having a healthy diet will help with this as well. Also making sure that we are eating. Sometimes anger might come out of not eating, and we get cranky because we haven't eaten. We're not keeping ourselves fed. Also, avoiding triggers. As if there's things in our lives that we know make us angry and we are able to avoid those things, it's best to avoid them. If we know that working on the car early in the morning or late at night it always usually ends up in us becoming angry and short-tempered, then maybe it's best to work on it at a different time during the day, or if there's certain situations that tend to always stir up anger, maybe it's best to just avoid them if possible. Also, listening to music is a good way, a physical way that we can help alleviate anger. We've seen this in our Old Testament reading, where Saul has this evil spirit, and it apparently would cause him to get very angry. So much so that he's throwing spears at people, trying to pin them to the wall and whatnot. And David would come and play his harp, and that seemed to soothe that anger within him. And so listening to music that calms us, music that makes us happy, that puts us in a good mood, that can help us overcome anger from a physical standpoint. So physically, we get enough sleep, we exercise, we eat right, we avoid those triggers that cause us to get angry, and listen to music that either calms us or makes us happy. But then there's some mental things as we dig a little bit deeper that can help us overcome anger. And one of the main ones is to be humble. When we're in a humble state of mind, we tend to not get angry as much. A lot of anger is really fed off of pride. When we feel as though we should be treated better, or this shouldn't happen to us because we're such good people, or whatever the case may be, oftentimes that leads to anger, and we get mad at either people or at our circumstances. But when we remain humble and we realize, whatever bad thing that might happen to me today, it's not near as bad as what I deserve. And we just keep a humble heart. It goes a long way. And then also having a grateful heart, just being thankful for the things that we have. Oftentimes, the one thing that makes us angry is just one thing out of 1,000 things that should make us happy. There might be just one bad thing in our life, and there might be hundreds of good things, but we focus on the bad thing and allow that to make us angry. When we're thankful, we begin to focus on the hundreds of other good things in our life, and then that one bad thing doesn't seem so bad. So keeping a grateful heart helps overcome anger. And then setting our mind on spiritual things. This is probably the biggest one. When we have our mind set on the Spirit, when we have our minds in a prayerful state before God, when we're worshiping God in our heart, when we have our minds filled with God's Word, when we're just thinking about spiritual things, when our minds are set on the things above, not on the things of this earth, it just has a way of making the things of the earth not quite so important and not such a big deal to where we would get angry about those things. And so these are some things we can do mentally. Be humble, maintain a grateful heart, and set our mind on spiritual things. So these are just a few things that might help us overcome anger, overcome being quick-tempered. And when we overcome being angry all the time, it'll help us in a lot of different areas in our lives. It'll help in our relationships. It'll help us in our battles over temptation. It'll just be extremely beneficial to us to do that. And not only that, it'll also help us to be able to be more in line with what the scriptures instruct us to do. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.